We have been building adventure vehicles and traveling long-term for about 5 years. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I work full-time on the road in this low-roof Ford E350 totally custom adventure van that we built. Stick around. I've got our Figma diagram. Working in the van, I'm working both my jobs. So every workday for me starts off with my coffee. I'm a coffee guy, not everybody is. And I am all electric in our current setup. This is Stoke Voltaic's Joule. This is their electric kettle slash French press. We keep filtered water in the van here. We've got a 12-gallon onboard water tank. We fill our water filter up. So I've got filtered water for the coffee. And then we also roll with a NutriBullet blender. We use this to make smoothies and all kinds of stuff, but it doubles. I have a separate mill cap and I don't know what you call it, grinder bucket that we use just for grinding coffee. And all the coffee stuff rides in the cabinet here. This thing's awesome. We run it off our battery and inverter. Makes water really fast. We actually use it for all of our hot water, for like washing dishes, as well as like taking a shower. We're drinking Mountain Bird, Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It's been 2.5 minutes. I've got hot water. Got coffee now? Let me show you the workspace. Alright, so obviously we're in a low roof van, which puts space at a bit of a premium. When I built the van, I optimized knowing that I was going to need a workspace because when we travel in the summers and other holiday seasons, because we have a kid in public school, I work full time. It's how we're able to stay on the road for months at a time. So what we have is a convertible bed. This thing functions as a couch, and also my main workspace during the daytime, and then converts to a bed at night rather than a fixed bed, which means we do have to tear this down and build a bed every night, but I have a real place to work. It's a cool workspace because it's very configurable. There's a lot of different ways to move it around. One of the best investments I made in this space was this Lagoon table, which lets me reposition my work area. And so depending on where we are and what our needs are, I might sit here. Table on this side. The table can actually flip inside like this, where it's a little bit further over that way, and Paige has room to sit over here. And the couch itself is very, very comfortable. Now this table actually unfolds when it comes off of the stand. The legs just remove and becomes the missing piece of our bed here, and we reconfigure the cushions, and it makes about a full-size bed. So this is kind of the main workspace setup. I have found, though, if we've got a really good view out the back, there's an even more optimum position. This spot right here is hard to beat. Now, if the weather's nice and the location's scenic, I might pull out our awning and just set up in one of our camp chairs if it's quiet outside. And then there's one other configuration I really like. If I feel like kind of having a standing desk, and sometimes we're set up with a southern exposure, it's a good place to hide from morning sun. Back here in the back of the van, we've got this pull-out drawer that also functions as like a cooking table. And if our shade's out or the sun's just right, it can be a nice standing desk for working. One of the other reasons why I like this spot is I actually have power right here in the back, and so I can make my coffee on the table while I'm getting prepped for my morning meetings. Now, none of this would even be possible without the right power and internet setup in the van. For power, we've got a 460 amp hour, which is about 4.6 times the size of an automotive style battery. Lithium iron phosphate battery, a big one that sits right here underneath the couch. A 2000 watt Renogy inverter charger, 350 watts of solar on the roof, and a 30 amp Bouge RV solar charge controller. So we've got a bunch of different components. We've got a Renogy inverter, Renogy solar panels, Vatra battery, Bouge RV charge controller. And they all work really nicely together. We've had the van for almost 2 years now. We built the system in phases and have been able to integrate all these pieces together. It's honestly very modest compared to like a lot of the van life setups you see on YouTube, or even like with the high-end camper vans from RV manufacturers like Winnebago or Storyteller, etc., where they're putting 1,000 watts of solar and a 900 amp hour battery and a 3,000 watt inverter and all this stuff. And frankly, I don't understand it because we run a fridge full-time, ventilation fan. The only thing we don't have is air conditioning. And 12 volt air conditioning, there's just no amount of battery size that's really going to get you in front of that amount of power. We employ an elevation-based air conditioning system. I'm currently in a campground about 1,500 feet above the town of Ouray, Colorado. We're at 8,500 feet here. It's 75 degrees in the daytime, which is really manageable. It's in the 40s at night, and this is in June. Without the AC, our battery never goes below 85%, and if we have sun, it's fully charged. We have a shore power cable and a charger built into our inverter, so we can plug in an electrical outlet at a campground and recharge this entire battery from zero in a few hours. Even so, we've been on the road for 20 days this summer so far, and I've never plugged in once. We're always fully charged by the end of the day. So power's one thing. What about internet? In this van, new to the build, just installed before we left, we are running a Starlink mini dish on the roof rack right above my head here. Now, if you followed this channel for a while, you probably know that we've traveled in an RV as well as a Jeep for a number of years on long duration trips, and I've always worked while we're on the road. We've had a Starlink in the past. We have the Generation 2 that sits on a base and articulates and all that stuff. The Starlink Mini is a huge upgrade here because we don't have a modem that we have to run inside the van. The modem and the Wi-Fi router, it's all built into the dish itself, and the dish stays permanently mounted on the roof, so it takes up zero space. I have a short cable that I purchased aftermarket that runs down through the door channel here and plugs into our power system under the couch. And then I have the original 35-foot cable, which at any point, I haven't had to do it because the signal is so good on this little dish. I can always plug in the longer cable and run the dish if I have an obstruction. I barely have a tree over the site today. And even so, I'm only losing signal on the Starlink like once every 15 minutes for about 10 seconds. You know, not even enough to be disruptive in a meeting. And I could just move the dish over a few feet or run that other cable, but it really hasn't been a problem. It's been awesome, and I'm getting fantastic speeds on this. It works in motion. I'm on the unlimited plan because that's important to how we travel. Everybody can use their devices even when we're deep in the national forest, and I'm getting between 200 and 300 megabit. We also make YouTube videos. I'm able to upload our videos from the middle of nowhere. Our phones are set up with Wi-Fi calling, which most phones will allow you to do these days, which means that I can receive regular text messages and phone calls, even if all I have is our Starlink dish and no cellular service. Oh, and the Mini uses about 1/3 of the power of our old Gen 2 Starlink dish. If I still had that Gen 2 Starlink, not only would I be setting it up and tearing it down every time we break camp, which is every couple days, but I do think I'd be having more issues with my battery capacity because that thing uses like a continuous 70 or 80 watts, which really adds up over the day. This thing's using 20. Now, when I do have cell service, we do have a little cellular Wi-Fi modem that we got from a sponsor that we used all last year. They paid for the internet for it. That sponsorship has run out. We decided not to renew with them, although we had a great service with them. But I kept the modem, which runs off a battery pack, which is pretty handy, and I put my own SIM card in it. You can get a data plan SIM card from any cellular carrier, and I've got that, and I'm paying for the backup plan, and I haven't pulled it out, not even once on this entire trip. I don't even know that I'll be bringing that with me ever again. The Starlink Mini has just been way too versatile. I mean, I'd have to like literally be parked indoors or I don't know. I can't imagine a situation. We'd have to be really deep in the woods and not have any place that we can even get a tiny, because I mean, this Starlink Mini will work in a 10-foot wide hole in the trees is all it needs. Yeah, so I don't know. It's my backup. I haven't had to use it. By the end of the trip, I'll be making a decision about whether I even carry cellular internet anymore, which is crazy because cellular internet 2-3 years ago was the only way that this was even possible. What it means though is like we're camping in places we'd have never camped before. Between the low roof of the van and the ability to like get outside of cell service, it's just opened up so many possibilities. Now let's talk briefly about equipment. I'm on a laptop, a MacBook Pro. This is an M1 Ultra. It's super fast. It's great for editing video. I work in the software engineering field. Not as much of a day-to-day software engineer. There was a time where you'd probably need a different machine to do this kind of work, like efficiently, especially because I work in the AI field. But all of our high-powered systems are in the cloud. It works great for editing our YouTube videos, and it's super low power consumption. A full desktop computer would probably be way too much power draw. You can plug into the inverter, keep it charged. I carry an extra mouse and keyboard, but I rarely ever use them. It's just the versatility of a laptop. It's all in one. I can close it, I can shove it in the cabinet when we drive away, and that sort of convenience is very important to me. When I want some extra screen real estate, I carry this espresso display. This thing is a really cool USB only power and data spare monitor. I can set it up with its carrying case. It's got a cover for it, which lets me store it in a cabinet here. And I also have a magnetic stand for it so I can run it like a more traditional monitor. Just magnets on. And now I've got a second display. It's even a touchscreen. And I unplugged my laptop here. I'm not even having to plug this into external power. It'll run off of the battery on my laptop, although it does shorten the battery life a bit. If I'm plugged in, I'm good to go. So if I'm getting in some really heavy work and I need the dual screen set up, I can always do this. I honestly don't set it up that often, maybe only once or twice on this trip where I'm doing the type of task where I benefit from that. For the most part, I just use the laptop because it's versatile. But I can have a pretty robust computer set up here in a little low roof van, completely off grid, in the middle of nowhere, and it's amazing. Now, one thing I want to address is that career choice is super important in this world. To even be in a position to work remotely at all is a privilege, and I recognize that. And it's not like I made some intentional decision 20 years ago and said, I'm going to get into this field that lets me work from a van in the middle of nowhere. I just happened to. We didn't even have remote work when we got in this field. There was a very select few people in very obscure roles, mostly because they were like unreplaceable and had to access remote systems in anyway. And we called it telecommuting back then. COVID accelerated all this and made it a lot more acceptable. But like, look, if you're building airplanes, you don't get to do that in a Zoom meeting, right? So I got lucky. That said, the second I realized that I was lucky and I was in the right field for it, every career decision I've made since then has been with the goal of furthering the ability to have this lifestyle. Basically, every time I have an opportunity to take a new job, or I ran my own business for a while, and could I have made more money not running my own business and working for another company? Almost definitely, but I made decisions that led towards more flexibility, and basically every choice you make, you either get closer to that capability or further away, and I always choose to be closer to this. That's not to say you can just go will it to happening. I understand that there's a lot of luck in play, but when you do get lucky, you can capitalize on it. And every time you're making a choice, you can decide, is that choice moving me closer to this lifestyle or further away from it? And there's a trade-off. I've probably made a lot less money than I could have made, but at the same time, I'm sitting here in the mountains outside of Ouray. I feel like I've already retired, even though I'm still working every day. So that's my off-grid van workstation. My wife, Paige, my son, Henry, they're off on a hike today, and I'm hanging out in the van getting work done. It's a Monday. I'm doing both of my jobs, my tech job as well as this job, making videos for you guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'd love to answer them. I've been doing this for a long time, so I feel like I've optimized a lot, and there's a lot of stuff I probably didn't cover. And if you're interested to see us travel in this van and the lifestyle around that, we have recently launched a new YouTube channel that is just vlogging. We're no longer vlogging on this channel anymore, called Casey and Paige. We're about 20 days into our summer adventures. We're living full-time in the van all summer as a family of 3, bouncing from deserts to mountains. We're doing the entire state of Colorado from top to bottom and east to west, and it's been a blast so far, and there's plenty more to come. So if you want to see that, check out our other channel, Casey and Paige. There'll be a link in the description. Feel free to go subscribe. If you like this video, subscribe to this channel. This channel is more about the builds and how we use it. And if you want to see the vlogs, there's the other channel for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.